This conference will now be recorded.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the July 13th Tenino City Council work session. All council members are present. We have not a lot on the work session, but we have a few things that we could discuss on there. I want to start, we can just start with the clerk treasurer report because she's got a lot of stuff that she's working on that is relevant to everything else that we're going to be going over. So we can just get that out of the way.
Out of the way. All right.
Get it done.
So one of the things we've been working on is a supplemental budget because we've brought in a lot of unexpected revenues, some COVID monies, some repayments. So just know that that's coming out. So far we received $276,000 of repayment from the fraudulent funds that were taken. So those will go back into the contingency fund, what we removed out of it to cover the loss. We've also received $279,000 from ARP funds. So that's unexpected revenue that's in our 2021 budget that we didn't see coming. So none of that money has any holds or expenses to it yet. We did receive the $26,000 Arts WOG grant that reimburses us for half the cost of the gazebo that went up. That was originally for the parking lot, didn't work out. We revamped the money so that we didn't lose it. And that's why we went with the gazebo project, because it was cheaper and we could get it done. Right now, one of the things we're working on is figuring a 90-day operating cost budget. We want to be sure that we have that added to the contingency fund as well as what's already there. And then any monies we have left over from some of these we have from our current budget will begin our starting balance of 2022. That is something to put on your back burner thoughts, that budget will have to start sooner than later. So that's one of the things just to start considering. If you have something you want added to that or that you're thinking you want to make sure is in that, we'll start those discussions in the next couple months, but just start writing your ideas now before we forget them. One other thing that, let me find, I was asked to bring up tonight by Judy Kreiderman, our volunteer, is she has been working on getting a better animal shelter facility for our emergency animal care. Right now it's kind of, if somebody calls with a found animal, either our public works takes it in, puts it in their bathroom, takes it home with them, and we just try to deal until we can figure out who the owners are. So one thing that she's really passionate about is getting an emergency shelter where these animals can temporarily be. So it's completely volunteer. She is raising donations, but she wanted the council to be aware and just kind of pass the information through you guys so that if you did see it around town or hear someone talking about it, you knew what it was. Again, it is completely done by volunteer donations, but her goal is to get a 10 by 20 shelter that we can have for emergency animal intake. Her expected cost is around $20,000. So she's planning on putting up jars around town with pictures of what she wants to get, pictures of the animals, but she just wanted the council to kind of be aware of what it is, and she's requesting your support. I do have just a letter she wrote out basically saying those things, but she's open for any questions or comments anybody has on that. And then our other fun thing that we've been getting to deal with lately is our City of Tenino email has been down. I don't know if anyone's been trying to send something in, but it's been down since Friday morning at least. So we do have a temporary Gmail set up. Should anyone need to send anything through, it is just teninocity@gmail.com. We're all able to access that. It is temporary, just emergency thing to get us through until we can get our actual email back up and functioning. We do have people working on it, but there's no scheduled time frame on that. The other one that I was asked to bring up, however, it's not on the agenda, so Council members, if you have a thought on this, or if you want us to wait and feel like it's something that should be an agenda item, we can certainly add it to the next council meeting. But it's an amendment on our engineering services contract with Gibbs and Olson for our quarry pool renovation project. The amendment is still within the scope of the grant that we received. It's just with additional work and expectations from them as we're reposting the job for bid. He just sent in a new amendment. Like I said, it's still within the scope. It comes out to a total agreement of $43,500. It's a change of $12,000. So that's just kind of information only at this point. If you guys want to, I will add it to the council agenda in 2 weeks if you want to see it in more detail. Or if you want, I can email it to you guys if anyone's interested in actually looking at it. It just goes through the engineering services and details exactly what additional monies are for.
This would fall in, at least I believe it would fall under an agenda item for our next meeting, and I would like to see the paperwork on it.
Okay, yeah. The only reason I brought it up tonight is the CDBG is requesting updated invoices. They were hoping to get them done by this Thursday. We let them know that it came in too late to be on tonight's council, and it was likely going to have to wait 2 weeks. But I told them I would just at least mention it to you guys so you know it's coming, but we will just let them know that they can expect those by the end of the month. And that is all I have in my initial report.
That's plenty.
There's a lot of information real quick, so if anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Okay, next up we have discussion of ARP funds. So we talked about the American Rescue Plan. The city has received, Becca, what was it, 267,000 from the federal government this year?
279.
279, and then it'll be another 279 next year. I'm sorry. We've had some discussion about some potential things, some potential projects, those being the pump track concept and the parking lot paving. We've looked into it. Both of those things are eligible as far as we understand it for what those funds can be used for. So those are available. We've also provided some information on the pump track concept, and then at a previous meeting we provided information on the parking lot paving project. So you guys can talk about that, or you can take action, or however you want to deal with it during the meeting. That's on the table.
One of our big situations that is coming up really quick is going out of town towards Grand Mountain. We've got 1 mile of that road that has not been touched with any kind of repair since it was ceded over to us. We haven't even tried to fill in the gaps with any kind of tar or something.
And I am pretty certain that it cannot be used for roads. Unfortunately, I have to look again, but if that, we can look into that because there is more money coming. But there was some discussion about water infrastructure projects and road projects when I looked at like the National League of Cities website, and if I remember correctly, those things were not eligible. But I'll double check, and then at the next meeting we can have that discussion as well.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because listening to the president over the last few days, nobody knows for sure what that money's really going to be allowed to be used for to begin with.
It's pretty wide open.
Yeah, he keeps changing all kinds of stuff. Oh, you can do this and you can do that. Yeah. We have nothing definite.
And there's no reporting requirements for us. There's some guidelines. If you're a larger city, there's some reporting requirements, but for us, there's some guidelines, and it's pretty open to interpretation. But I'll review it again and then bring some more information at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to talk about? Well, we've got 20 more minutes. If Chief Shaffron is with us, we could give him the rest of the work session for his presentation.
That'll work for me. Get him home earlier. He's here.
It's okay.
Chief Shafran,
Hello.
you have the floor.
All right, how do I screen share on this go-to meeting?
I got you.
platform?
All right, stand by. Presenter.
Mr. Vanderhoof, how you doing?
Hey, not too bad.
Good to see you.
Well, thank you. It's good to see you.
Thank
It says you're the presenter now, so there might be a share button down on the bottom half or screen. It says screen. There you go.
There you go.
I'm gonna test my buttons here and make sure they work right. How does that start working now? It's not changing on your guys. There it goes. Okay. I think we're good. So thank you for inviting me. I'm gonna give you a overview of our bond and what that all entails for us this session. So what are some of the challenges we're facing here at District 12? We're at a point where we need to start looking at our infrastructure and replacing it. The stations, we'll get in more of the stations, but the challenge we're facing are the need to replace and update some of our ineffective fire stations. Just about from when they were designed, they weren't designed for today's stations. They're not current to support full-time staffing needs. We don't have the correct sleeping space for all our members at the stations. So like Station 41, everyone has to sleep across the road at another house and then come across the roadway there to get to the station when a call goes out. Station 42 down at Gibson Valley, we'd like to add some sleeping quarters to it to help with WSRB ratings down in that area. Trying to keep volunteer pool down there, it's not working. The demographics aren't there to help that side of it. So if we could get sleeping quarters placed down there, that could help with that. The current station is not meeting current building safety standards, which it's grandfathered in, but once you start having people here for 24 hours, we need to start really considering those things and how do we fix that. Our response vehicles, they're aging, they're getting up there to be 20 years old plus, and that also affects our insurance rating. We have our own mechanic and we don't have a lot of room and need some new equipment for him to be able to truly work on our vehicles and get them lifted up in the air. And then many of you know, we're getting a new radio system for police and fire throughout our county, and that's great. However, we're getting the initial load of our radios, portables and mobiles paid for by that tax, but there was no stipulations for ongoing replacements. And we're being told in 5 to 6 years, we're gonna have to start replacing those. So this bond can help get that going for us too. Benefits to the community will help with improved response times because we're in the same building versus having to leave one, cross the road and get in here. Meet new safety standards with having 24-hour coverage. Updated apparatus fleet is less maintenance cost, newer things. We have some vehicles that are getting up there where it's harder to find parts now for when they do break. And then community use, we're trying to have a training room / community room that's big enough. It will be bigger than our existing training room where the community can come in and use it for a lot of different functions than what we currently are able to do. It will have a small kitchen area, go out onto a patio area so they can go inside and outside depending upon the weather. So we're trying to make it full circle for the community use, not just as a fire department, but also a community event center in a small way. Services that we provide currently, just an overview of that, kind of are just across the top. Fire and EMS responses, the Gibbons, Wildland. We do mobilizations to Eastern Washington, EMAC responses for Oregon and California. Some of our basic things we get called out for is lift assist, water shutoffs. The school had a leak in their baseball field the other day we got a call for. Blood pressure checks, cooling station, and community use of the training room, just to share some of the things that we do around here when we're not just responding on calls. Community events involving the Firefighters Association and the fire department. So some of the things that we do that aren't always out there, I don't think, or people don't see it that way. We put on a local food drive. The Firefighters Association do that annually. We help with the high schools Don't Drink and Drive program with the extrication. Airlift comes down. One of our medic units from the county comes over and we go through the whole process. We give donations to several of the school programs to do birthday parties here at the fire station. We participate in Oregon Trails Days. We have the baseball throw, antique fire truck show, and with the money from the baseball throw, that's gone to other nonprofits. It doesn't just stay in-house. We have a Halloween open house. We invite people to come in, see what's happening here at the station, hand out donuts and candy to the kids. We participate in the tree lighting program, Santa delivery with that, and some other miscellaneous community events as requested, or as we hear about them, we ask how we can help take part in those events also. So part of the bond, or the main part of the bond, is to replace the main station there, the gray looking one. That one was built about 1962 and has been added on to several times. The bays used to come out to where most of us park in the front, and they got shifted over the years. And we really don't have a lot of space. We don't have an apron to put the vehicles out on. Sometimes we're taking up part of the roadway there, and we try to limit that because of that corner there where the stop sign is. And it just doesn't meet today's current needs of a fire department, especially with 24-hour coverage nowadays. If you see the red building there, that was built in the 1970s. We have two stations like that, and they're narrow, they're short, and they're not fitting a lot of the current apparatus. So we have to be unique when we find a vehicle to fit in those. And so we're looking at trying to get those updated over the next couple of years too, to fit some current vehicles in there, or remodel that so we can get bigger vehicles inside there add on. We're starting to see some growth out there in the Skookumchuck Valley, and we need to look at that station and see what we can do to get some newer apparatus out there and get some sleeping quarters for residents out that way. Some of the apparatus we're looking at replacing are these two tenders that you see. We have three tenders. The bottom one, that red one there, there's two of them that are identical. They're sister ships. Those are 1980s, and then the yellow one's a 1985. The 85 happens to be a stick shift, like a 10-speed split rear end, that there's only about 3 people now that can drive that, because most of us aren't log truck drivers anymore in the fire department. And part of our system, we've talked with the Insurance Rating Bureau, we're going to be able to replace those 3 with 2 other tenders and save on some internal insurance and maintenance and stuff for the future by getting rid of one and dropping down to two tenders, because we already have one that we replaced 2 years ago, and that's working out pretty well for us. One of the other vehicles we need to replace is a 1995 age unit, and all 4 of our ambulances right now are hand-me-downs from the Medic One system, and that's how we've kept that fleet going. But when we get those, they're usually already around the 100+ thousand miles on them. They get used pretty hard most of the time. We get them and get to use them for the next 5 years at least, if not more. We've been very fortunate. We've had to replace some motor parts on a few of them. The last one we got is actually one of the newer ones, and we got some seals leaking off of that, and that we're getting ready to take care of. But one of our goals is to replace it with a 4x4 capable ambulance. So when we do have snow and stuff like that, we're going to be able to get up some of the driveways that we have a hard time now getting up, and we have to use utility vehicles to get into the patients and bring them to the ambulance. One of the engines that we would like to replace is this 1999 H&W engine. We have 2 around this age, and they're getting up there, and we'd like to get a new one in place in the beginning of the bond and potentially one at the end of the bond, so we stay current and stay ahead of that curve instead of replacing after the issues start arising with them. Financial responsible. Our department has set up a line item budget process where in the past we used to use just a one line item. We got money coming in, they pay all their bills, and that's how they looked at it. They didn't really break it down in the past, and we've changed that process. We used to not have a reserve account. Now we have a reserve account. We're almost at $300,000 in there. With the wildland funds, when we go out on state MOBs in Eastern Washington, Western Washington has had a couple in the last couple of years. We go to Oregon or California, that money comes in and we're using that right now instead of our general fund money to replace the chassis of the brush trucks in our utility fleet. One of the other ways we're supplementing some income is Washington State a couple of years ago went and got this Ground Emergency Medical Transport, GEMT supplement fund, and it pays a portion back to the fire department for Medicaid patients because we have a billing system. Let's say it's $900 for transport. If they're Medicaid, they only pay like $200 for that transport. And so this pays 25% more of that money back to us at the end of the day. And that's how we're funding our reserve account. So the bond, we're asking for $5.77 million to repay over 20 years. It's going to be 37 cents per 1,000 of the assessed value. So you can see here, $200,000 property is an increase of $6.16 per month, average about $74 for the year. And this is a picture of what the draft proposal is, of what the station will look like. And in some of the material I handed out before that some of you have seen, we're planning this to work for us for the next 50 years. And someone could say, okay, well, how do you figure that's going to work? Well, we're designing this now. You look at it and where the apparatus bay are, there's 4, where it says fitness, shop, bunker gear. That's actually designed to come out, and a 5th bay can go on there and we can add on in the future. And then the same concept over at the bedrooms where it talks about storage, that's actually designed to come out and put more bedrooms and more bathrooms in there as needed as we continue to grow and function in the future. So that's how we're trying to be proactive and look towards the future for better opportunities so we don't have to keep coming to the taxpayers. But when it comes to bonds, these are some of the things that you can't save money necessarily for brand new stations for this magnitude, and that's why we do go out for bonds, is to ask people to do this kind of thing now. As we're looking, same thing with the vehicles. We don't want to buy used vehicles anymore. We're trying to get out of that game and buy new vehicles with less maintenance cost and all those things that go like that. So is there any questions I can try to answer today?
I have a question. This is Linda Godovac calling. I'm speaking. Actually, I have a couple questions. First of all, the first I heard of this issue was at the June chamber meeting when you came and talked to everyone. Before that, I knew nothing about this, and other people have said the same thing. The second thing is, do you have a breakdown on exactly where this money is going to go? How much the truck's going to cost, how much the ambulance is going to cost, how much the building renovation is going to cost? That doesn't seem like enough money to do everything that you're talking about doing.
Well, yeah, so we put a newsletter out several months ago, and it talked about it in that. And that was our first piece out there. We had a community advisory committee that came in and worked on some of these little parts with us. When it comes to the price of the station, we've used the Kirkbride company out of Lacey to develop this and tell us what this proposal will cost us, and that's where the $4 million is coming up from. And then for the vehicles, we're looking at $450,000 for an engine, about $180,000 for the ambulance, $225,000 for a tender. And so when you start looking at some of those prices, we're looking at getting the basic across the board. They're the 3 main vehicles we need in the station, and that's going to pull us up close to that $5 million there, and then that leaves us around another $700,000 to fill in the blanks with these other little things. And so we're still trying to figure out if we can get this done, and with construction costs right now going up the way they have, we're hoping they come back down. We haven't even approached the remodel of some of these other stations like the ones built in the 1970s, because we're not sure how much this new building will cost if these costs keep going up versus coming back down.
Chief Shepard, you kind of answered my question. I was wondering if this was from the presentation I attended the presentation with the Kirkbride group when they floated the station out there, and it was like 4 years ago. Is that right?
I didn't hear you there, Wayne.
When Frank came and presented, like I was at the meeting where Frank Kirkbride came and presented the station proposal.
Yeah. So
and that was about 4 years ago, right?
Yes, we've been working on this bond for about 4 years, and we put it off every year because of the economy, because of the issues there.
Is that $4 million price tag for the building from his proposal 4 years ago?
No, that was still from what he shared with us probably 8 months ago.
Okay.
That was before all the increased costs went up.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure out if you're saying that you're going to buy 2 engines, 1 tender, 1 age unit, and 3 fire stations, because 5.7 million,
Correct.
I doubt will even pay for a fire station.
Well, it's supposed to do this one here at 4 million or a little less. And so when it comes to those remodels, those are things that are down the road that if we can figure this out, then we'll take those steps. But we'll be able to get 1 engine off of this, another tender and an age unit with no issues, as long as this station doesn't go over cost and some of those other building costs come back down to what is we're used to saying is whatever normal.
You could probably add 40% to your building cost
right now,
because what's happened in the last year. So correct. And then it brings up land acquisition. That for me is a big question. Is you're where are you going to put this? Because I don't think that you guys have any land or have any plans or even know where this would go, right?
Well, as you know, Wayne, being the mayor, there's certain things we don't talk about out in the public, because as soon as we start talking about what land we're looking at and certain things, people can start saying, oh, they might look at mine, and then the price gouging starts happening. So some of those things are done in executive session to where that doesn't get out to the public yet, because we're still looking for some land. We have about 10 parcels we're looking at, and some of them we think might work, and some of them we're pretty sure won't work. But we can't put the cart before the horse either, because you got to make sure you have the money.
So you're saying that this will buy the land, pay for the station, pay for an engine, a tender, and an age unit?
Yeah. That's with the direction with what the Kirkbride group has shared with us. We believe that. Now, that was, of course, like I said, before all these prices started going up in the last 6 months.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions, but for me, a big question is the land.
Yep.
Like, because for the city's perspective, and for all of our businesses and all of our community members, and like 60-70% of your call volume is in the city, and I know where all the available land is in the city. If it's not, if we don't know where that's going to be, it makes it really hard to jump behind a plan when we don't know if it means that you get the money and we got to put a station somewhere, and then all of a sudden it ends up on Tilley Road or something. Because our insurance rating has already slipped from a 5 to a 6 in the last year or two, right? And then you move a station out of town, the city itself is going to be an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense, would it?
No, it would be horrible. So it's like, I say, where are you going to put it? And you say, well, we can't tell you where we're going to put it, or we don't know where we're going to put it. That's a red flag. To be honest with you.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but once again, you understand the dynamics of that whole process. And so there's a couple avenues we're working on. You and I had a conversation several years ago, and then it dropped off the market once you guys started looking at that ag park about swapping this land and this building for some property down there. And so,
we were totally willing to swap, discuss swapping property, the station for that ag land. But I mean, I got no. And it was your predecessor he wasn't really interested, because he was worried about whether it was developable or not, and and just that's not the world that he worked in, so he didn't know what that looked like. But
Mr. Mayor,
I would like to say one more.
We have a few seconds left. I would suggest that we carry this conversation over to the presentation part of the agenda.
Sure. Yeah, we can bring that back up, and we can see if anybody else has any questions. All right. 7:30, that brings us to the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, it is July 13th, 2021 at 7:30. Let the record show that all city council members are present. Would you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. That brings us to agenda approval.
Move approval of the agenda as presented.
I would like to add something to the agenda if I could.
Okay, hold on. We've got a motion to approve the agenda as presented. If there's no second, then then you can make your motion. Linda, do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Councilmember Godovak.
I would like to have put on the agenda the disbursement of the ARP funds
Where would you like that placed?
in old business, please.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of disbursement of ARP funds under old business. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That brings us to I can't even read tonight. Approval of minutes. Minutes for the regular city council meeting for 6/22/21.
So moved.
Has been moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes for 6/22/21. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to the consent calendar, consisting of June 23rd, 2021 through July 13th, 2021, payroll EFTs in the amount of $24,294.41. Claims checks number 29987 through 30020, and EFTs in the amount of $90,625.25 for a grand total of $114,919.66. No liquor or cannabis renewals.
Move approval of the consent agenda, consent calendar.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do I hear any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to executive sessions. We have none. Presentations. We had a presentation under the work session from Chief Andrew Shapron, and we started a question and answer session that still had some lingering questions. So let's give it, let's try 5 more minutes. And if anybody has any questions for Chief Shapron at this time, speak up.
I have one more question. This is Linda Godovak again.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, can you give us any kind of a guarantee that the station will not be moved out of the city limits?
Yeah, I wish I could give a blind guarantee, but the hope is that it doesn't. I mean, there's a point, excuse me, rubbing my eye there. There's a point where you lose some of the quaintness that we have by even leaving this spot where we're at. It's kind of a focal point right here, and most of us don't want to lose that. But to get to the size of the ground we need to look at some of these larger lots area and figure out how to get that developed for us. And we want to be in the city for several reasons. One, location of the events that we take part in, our call volume that is here, the ease of permitting process, to name a great one, water for the building and so forth. So we want to be within the city limits. You know, if we look out there at the edge even, and let's say we had to do something by the alpaca farm, my hope would be that if it was on the wrong side of the street, we could figure out how to annex it into the city limits. So absolutely, the goal is to be within the city limits with our new station.
Is there any chance that you could remodel the building you're in, say go up, put a second story on it?
We looked at that and we had people come in here and basically told us, no, you'd have to tear it down to the floor and build back up. And that still doesn't give us place for our vehicles and our parking. Our staffing's growing and we're taking up a lot of the area out here now. And we're trying to figure out how to do that so we don't take up city parking any more than what we already have. And where does our vehicles go when we need to do rig checks and stuff like that? So we looked at that option first before we decided to do this other option.
Thanks, Chief. Any other questions for Chief Shafran?
No, just a statement and a reminder on, I'm sorry, go ahead, Aslan.
You can finish.
Okay,
Councilman.
on Oregon Trail Days on the 24th, we're going to have an open house. So come on down, get people to come down there, ask any kind of questions that they want to ask. Chief and everybody else is going to be there to help out with that. And take a look around the station yourself so that you can actually see how much is needed. Wayne already knows how much this upgrade is needed, but a lot of you other people have not been able to see that. I know Chief Hutch has been down there. Matter of fact, he was there today. So please come on down on the 24th, or just come down any day, and we'll be more than happy to show you around.
Okay. From my final thoughts, I don't think it's enough money to do the things that you want to do, and so I have concern with that. And then I have concern with the location, just as Linda alluded to. And then, I mean, really, I think there should be a bigger discussion. And I really don't think we should be building a headquarters station. Me personally, I'm an advocate of regionalization and mergers, and I would see Tenino's, wisest future being linking up with a large, some of the other neighboring departments. And instead of building a headquarters station that is funded just by the Tenino residents, you would be building a smaller station like Maytown has or something like that. And after a merger, it would be funded by, instead of 20 or 30,000 people, it'd be funded by 120,000 people. Is kind of like, I don't know why we're not having that discussion, but that's bigger than just.
It is, and some of those discussions are taking place, Wayne. But
Yeah.
if you look at this current design, even if we were able to get a medic unit placed here, the bedrooms are already taken up that way too. And so those discussions are being had. But you also got to remember, we're limited to our income ratio. And so that 5.77 is pretty much our max for us. So this station is being looked at and designed to fit the next potential fire authority merger system in place.
Yeah.
And that
your problem is, if you're behind the 8 ball and it's not your fault, it's due to 40 years of not taking care of business. Really, like when you defer, growth, and you defer, new construction and buying new engines and taking care, and it's not you. It was your predecessors and your predecessors' predecessors that didn't spend money on anything, didn't take care of the fire department. And so now you are absolutely behind the 8 ball. And you should be asking for $20 million if you want to get the things that you want to get done. I know.
For that.
I know. It doesn't exist.
Correct.
Aslan had a question.
Go ahead, Aslan.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I should even wade into. I know this is an emotional one for some folks, but Chief, I just haven't met you. My name's Aslan Mead. I work for the Economic Development Council. I'm sorry that I have not been more informed of this, and I would just offer the services of the EDC that, if you did want to put heads together and think, we do site locations and we do all kinds of things to help with projects. So I'd be happy to talk to you. I'd also be happy to talk to you about the Ag Park project. And I don't know, I don't know enough about your project, but, there is possibility of land out in that West Tenino area opening up for something like this. I just don't know about how much or how expensive or things of that nature. So anyways, would be happy to have those conversations.
Well,
all right. We have, okay.
I want to extend an invitation to the chief or someone representing him and the District 12 to come to the chamber meeting next week, Wednesday, the 21st, in the Kodiak room.
yes, thank you. Mr. Sharp reached out to us, and so we're on the books again.
Good.
Okay. All right. moving on. And, you know, Aslan, like typically it's a council meeting, but we, you know, thank you for joining in, but, you know, so that may have been a little off, out of the norm. We're going to go to public comments. If there's anyone in the public that would like to provide comment, please chime in at this point. You'll be given 3 minutes. State your name and address. If there's anyone in the public that would like to provide comment, please do so at this time. Going once, going twice. Public hearing, we have none. Proclamations, we have none. Does that bring us to old business? Old business, we have disbursement of ARP funds. Linda, you asked, or Council Member Godovac.
I would like to recommend that we give up to $75,000 for the parking lot on the corner of Central and Howard Street, the city parking lot.
And I have one too. I'll wait for Linda.
Okay, yep. So we got to do one. Okay, so now we have a motion. Councilmember Godovac has made a motion to dedicate $75,000 from the ARP funds to the parking lot project. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Councilmember Godovac, you have the floor to present your motion.
This is something that we've been working on for the last 4 or 5 years, the chamber has, and it is finally going to come to fruition, I hope. It's just something that's necessary for the downtown businesses. There is no place to park that's decent. And downtown is getting busier and busier. We had this last Saturday, I think about 800 or 900 people come through the farmers market and the artisans market that was there. And last month, the same thing, 700, 800, 900 people coming through. And there's no place to park. So.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, it was busy last Saturday.
Yeah.
Just a little background real quick. That parking lot has been on the plate since before I became a council member in 96. The chamber at one point was trying to do something and that kind of fell through, but we've been looking at that parking lot for a very, very long time. We finally have an opportunity to get it taken care of.
Absolutely. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes.
Yay.
All right, good job, Linda.
All right, Wayne.
Councilmember Lawton, did you have a comment?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to also move to appropriate up to $100,000 from the ARP fund to the pump track.
We have a motion to appropriate up to $100,000 from the ARP funds to develop the pump track as discussed in the last couple of meetings. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Jason, or Councilmember Lawton, would you like to present your motion?
Yeah, as I said before, you know, this would be a great thing for the community, especially for the youth, the teenagers, and basically anyone for, you know, want to exercise. But I know the last meeting I gave you some numbers of $78,000. That didn't include tax, also didn't include installation. And I think with up to $100,000, you know, we can make this a really great pump track out there, and maybe put a couple benches around it for parents to sit while they watch their kids, or, you know, something like that.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Lawton. Is there any other discussion?
If anybody hasn't seen what's been talked about, go downtown to Capitol Lake, because that's where they have it, and there's always anywhere from 6, 7-year-olds that are just starting to ride bicycles up to teenagers that are doing skateboards and adults that are just using it because of the different variants of walking on it. So if you can't visualize what it is just on a piece of paper, you can also go see it in action downtown Olympia by where the fountain is.
Yeah,
Good
thank you,
point.
John. And also, if you can't make it to downtown Olympia, just YouTube like Leavenworth Pump Track, Leavenworth, Washington. There's a really great one over there too. So that'll give you another idea of what it looks like.
Excellent. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Awesome. Motion passes. That brings us to new business. Review interlocal cooperative agreement for Thurston County Disaster Recovery Council. I believe we have some guests with us tonight that may be involved.
I'm Nancy Naris is here. Oh, no.
Nope, not yet, not that yet. Well, actually, we
Okay.
were going to move that up to the beginning.
No, oh, sorry, not a problem. And I can't turn on my camera, but I'm here, just so you
Okay.
know. But take your time. I'm in no rush.
Okay, so we have Nancy Naris and I believe Scott Bauer with us. So if it's okay with the council, I would like to move to ordinance 918 since their time's pretty valuable, and I don't want to keep them on here all night because they cost us money.
Make it so.
Is that okay? Okay, so I'd like to bring us to ordinance 918, and I will hand the microphone over to Becca Anderson.
Okay, so this ordinance was prepared for us with the assistance of Nancy and Scott. Nancy with Foster Garvey and Scott with Northwest Municipal Advisors. And so this is the ordinance that we are requesting we pass tonight for us to receive our 1.75 million bond for the egg park to get us started, to go along with the funds that Aslan already has through his agency. We put this bond out. We actually received 6 bank responses. We've sorted through them. The bank that's associated with the bond that is by far the best choice is North Cascades Bank through through Chelan. I guess I don't know if has anyone had a chance to read the bond, to go through it. I guess, do you have any questions, or do you want me to just lay out there what we got?
Lay out the terms.
Okay. So North Cascades Bank is the only bank that came through with a 20-year bond on a fixed rate. They were also one of the lowest rates. So they came through on a 20-year repayment bond at a 3.5% fixed rate. Their fees are lower than any other bank that we had. There's no early payoff fee. So if this ends up getting even bigger than we could imagine, than we're hoping for, we can pay this off and there's no penalty in early payment. We also only have payments on what we draw. So the plan right now and the hope is that we don't actually end up having to draw any from this for until 2022, which would mean we have no payments in 2021 and we wouldn't have to adjust the budget at all. If we do end up drawing, we're paying interest on our draw until December of 2022. So the payments there are, if we took the full amount out on day one, we're looking at a $16,000 payment for December of 2021. And then we'd have a $55,000-ish payment December of 2022. And then our principal payments would start after that. And again, that's assuming we take the full 1.75 million bond out on day one, which is not the plan. So that's worst case scenario right now. And then at that point, our annual payments are looking to be around 119,000 for the next 20 years, ending in 2042. So again, we looked at all. Is there a question?
Nope, keep going.
Again, we looked at all the options. This one certainly stuck out for several reasons. One, its interest rate It's a fixed rate. There were several that had changing rates after 5, 10, and then 15 years. And just with all of the unknowns, we didn't feel it was necessary to bid on public funds. And so we kind of thought the fixed rate option was the best choice. It was also the lowest rate choice. And then again, its fees are much lower than any other loan that was presented as well. So that's kind of the basic of the ordinance. I know Nancy and Scott are both here to help with any additional ordinance related questions. But it's a better deal than I think any of us thought we would come up with. And there was a lot of good ones to choose from, and this was, again, the best option. So if anyone has any questions, we certainly would love to answer them. And certainly, like I said, Nancy and Scott will be the experts on that.
Can't hear you, Wayne.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Becca. So I would like to ask the council make a motion to approve this as the first and second reading and adoption of ordinance 918 for LGTV bond. After you've made the motion in a second, we can open it up for discussion. We'll give an opportunity for Scott, Nancy, and then if you have questions for Aslan regarding the business plan, they'll be available during that time.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 918.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve as the second reading and adoption of ordinance 918 for a LGTV bond. So that brings it open for discussion. Is there any discussion at this point? Scott, Nancy, do you have any comments?
I thought Becca did a good job. This ordinance, by state law, the council needs to approve an ordinance authorizing all debt. So this does that, sets all the terms and authorizes by law. When you get a bank loan, you still have to provide a bond to the bank to evidence the loan. So this complies with state law in that respect. And so we will actually print up a bond which evidences the loan in the terms that Becca explained. And it's payable from lease revenues that you receive from the project, and that's the expectation, but it also does pledge your general fund to pay this if necessary.
Thank you. Scott, do you have any comments?
Yeah, again, agreed. Becca detailed it well. So I just want to say I was very pleased that the city received 6 proposals. And again, luckily it made it difficult for us to decide because we had to pick among the 6. But I think the North Cascades one was clearly, I think, the best one because you had, again, a 20-year fixed rate financing, 3.15%. And then, as Becca mentioned, should you get additional proceeds and you want to pay down the bond, you can do that without penalty. So again, congratulations to the city for getting 6 proposals and people that want to invest in the city.
Thank you. So, that means, I feel that means we have a good plan. The banks read our proposal or read our request and went over what we were planning on doing, and they believed in it, which brings up Aslan. Aslan, do you have any comments regarding the business plan and prospects and where we're at in the process for the ag park?
Yeah, so we did have all 3 prospective tenants who all said that they would provide letters of commitment. They all met with the architect last week, and so we actually programmed the space according to their needs. So actually start to lay out the design. And so the commitment that the 3 tenants are making comes to a total of like 18,000 square feet. Our best guess scenario, this is likely to change, but our best guess scenario right now, working with a commercial broker, is that we'll offer 85 cents a square foot. And so what that would mean would be a yearly income of revenue from the 18,000 square feet of around $183,000 a year. And so far with this current amortization schedule, even the largest payment you would be on the hook for at the very end of the 20-year period would be, I think, $117,000. So if we're bringing in $183,000, we are more than enough covering any loan payments.
Thank you, sir. At this time, do members of the council have any questions for staff or for me or for Nancy or Scott?
I have suggestions, but I'll let everybody else speak first. Nobody's going to speak?
Heather, were you talking? No, okay. No, the floor is yours, Councilmember O'Callahan.
Okay, as far as the loans and all that stuff, the paperwork, the rates, that's all fine and dandy. The problem that I have with it, and I'm not going to go over all the other stuff that I've already talked about, is that we're asking the citizens of Tenino to put their good name and faith on this line of credit. If something goes wrong, it's coming out of the general fund, which means it's coming from everybody in the city. Now, instead of just complaining about something and saying, hey, we probably shouldn't do this right now, it's always a good idea to come up with a solution. There are two solutions throughout the United States that I know of that it seems to be working extremely well. One is the oil industry up in Alaska. Everybody helped pay for it to start with, and they're all receiving yearly checks from the benefits of that because they put their name and credit on it. Same thing happened with Green Bay. The stadium out there, everybody said, okay, let's go ahead and do this, and they all reap the benefits. I don't see why we don't try to do something like that here. This is $1.7 million, and if it was at Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, those areas can easily absorb those payments. We're only at 2,000 people in this area. I haven't broken down through the census how many adults are actually doing it, and then start taking out the people that are elderly that don't have to pay property tax. So it puts even more of a burden on everybody that does. I think we can, to make this palatable, at least to me and maybe some other people if they hear this, make it so that since we're putting the city's name, everybody that lives in the city at this point, we're putting their name on this loan to back it, that they should reap from the benefits of this, because this is not just buying property for a fire station or a police station or whatever. This is an actual business. That is my suggestion, that we figure out a way that the citizens of this city reap the benefits from this $1.75 million on that business. I think it's only fair, and I think it's a lot fairer than just to have 5 of us say, hey, this is a good idea. Let's go ahead and take that 1.75 million. Maybe we'll take the whole.
What is it you're suggesting?
Excuse me. Is that we find a way to do what Green Bay did when they built the stadium, and how Alaska is split, how Alaska is sharing revenues from the oil, and do the same thing here with this project. This is supposed to be a money maker. We're asking the citizens of this city to put their name to it and have to pay if something doesn't happen. They should reap the benefits from any kind of profits from it.
So what I'm hearing what you're saying, and we will note that down. And I think that that's a very appropriate discussion, but we got to build it first, right? So in my mind, is the concept has to get out there, and then once it becomes profitable, then yeah, the city council will decide where those funds go. Just like that's just like any other budget is built, and you could skin that cat a million different ways. You can put it into utility fees. You could put it into this. You could put it into that. You use to pay for roads. But those are all suggestions that once the concept is there and it's making money, then you have that discussion. So put a pin in that and make sure that we talk about that a year and a half from now would be my suggestion.
I would have to disagree with you, and we're probably going to have to agree to disagree, but this is the perfect time to discuss that. We're talking about the money to get this thing even spiked. We haven't even spiked it yet. This is the perfect time. We're asking for $1.75 million for the citizens of Tenino to say okay to, even though state law says, oh, you can get it to $2.5 million without a vote of the people. That part here for a small jurisdiction like we have, I do not feel it's appropriate without having that right now. I'm sure that you guys are going to approve this because the paperwork is just fantastic on it, but we're still asking the citizens, every adult that lives here, to say, okay, if something goes wrong, we're going to have to pay for it. They should, if we're going on supposition right now, we can continue with that and set up a program now within before the project is even finally open, the first door is open, so that we can go ahead and figure out how much we can share profits with the rest of the city, because this is a city project. It is not a private business. The city is endeavoring into commercial endeavors. I have a problem with that, and this is my suggestion for figuring that out. But
Okay.
to wait a year, 2 years down the road to say, well, it's profitable now, it's finally profitable. How do you make up for for the 2 years of money that we had to take out of the general fund to make that happen? You know, that's my suggestion. I believe that we could work something out, and we could work it out easily. Just because they're not making money in the first year or two doesn't mean that we have to give profits. The profits start once it makes profits. But if you don't have the plan in advance, profits are going to be taken and nobody's going to benefit from it. I believe this is something that we can work on now.
Okay. All right. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Because of what I've brought up, I have to say no.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. That brings us to, thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Scott. You guys have done an excellent job. We'll be talking soon.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
That brings us to review interlocal cooperative agreement for Thurston County Disaster Recovery Council. We have no recommended action. This is purely being presented. I'm hearing no discussion. Review it. That brings us to review draft recovery plan for Mazama Pocket Gophers. And again, there's no action being taken here. This was provided to me, and I was asked if the city of Tenino had any comments. I sent it to our city planner. They were going to send it off to some of their biological folks to see if there was any comments that would be appropriate for the city of Tenino. But if the council has any comments that they would like to have relayed for this draft recovery plan for Mazama Pocket Gophers, you can state your case now. Please make it brief. If you have a written comment that you would like put in from the city of Tenino, please do so. But know that our email system is down, and use the email that Becca mentioned earlier. So I'm not hearing. I'm shocked, John.
I was waiting for you to say.
I said that Mazama Pocket Gophers are like waving a red flag in front of a bull, and
Okay. Like I said, you guys have probably all heard me before. Some of you haven't. I was at the very beginning of the meetings when they were bringing this stuff up, and a lot of the stuff that we're seeing now were all lies at that time. Have proven to be lies. A lot of the stuff that they're saying, oh, this is not going to happen, that's not going to happen, it's not going to cost all this, it's not going to cost all that. Every bit of it has been a lie. On this form right here, I think it was the third paragraph, it says 4 threatened species. The reason that these species are threatened is because they were renamed. The Tenino Mazama Pocket Gopher, the Olympia Mazama Pocket Gopher over by the airport. That was the only way that they could make them endangered, was by giving them names. These things can multiply better than rabbits do, and they do. Lost land for something that can just.
There's a lot of static.
Okay, well, I don't know where that's coming from. It's not coming from me. But this Mazama Pocket Gopher thing, as the generations of this pass, and I will too someday. A lot of the information that was presented at the very beginning is going to be lost. All the lies about it is going to be lost, and nobody's going to remember that the Tenino pocket gopher is just a Mazama pocket gopher. And down in 1972, California hired people to go out and try to shoot them, kill them all off, and they couldn't do it. That's how fast these things repopulate once they get to it. They love construction areas because the vibration in the ground. They love being around there. So all the stuff that they're trying to say right here just makes absolutely no sense. And I'm going to stop right there because this is just ridiculous. But thank you.
John, you're the best.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, that brings us to resolution 2021-04. You have that pulled up, Becca? What is this? This is Tenino Shoreline Master Plan. You've had ample time to review this. So at this point, we are recommending council move to approve resolution 2021-04, adopting the Tenino Shoreline Master Program periodic update.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Is this just an update of stuff that we already have?
Yes.
And they're paying for it?
Yes.
All right. Another one, guys.
All right. All those, I'm hearing no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We already reviewed bond ordinance 918. That brings us to ordinance 917, Thurston County Solid Waste System Flow Control. We are recommending council move to approve this as the second reading and adoption of ordinance 917, Thurston County Solid Waste System. We've probably spent 5 meetings reviewing this, and we had a presentation from Thurston County Solid Waste about 5 months ago.
No approval.
Second.
It is moved and seconded to approve this as the second reading and adoption of ordinance 917. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right. That got us through the meat of the meeting. And that brings us to Chamber of Commerce. George Sharp, the one and only. You have the floor.
So the Chamber of Commerce, our next luncheon is going to be next Wednesday, and we do have the chief coming back to present to us again on the bond for the fire station. We're also going to present who the Grand Marshal and the Citizen of the Year are, and that'll be for the Tenino Oregon Trail Days. And we're going to give an update on what is all being planned for Oregon Trail Days weekend.
Awesome. Thank you, George. EDC, Aslan or George, do you have a presentation?
Is that one still on?
Nope.
I'm still here. George,
Oh, there.
We have our event next week on July 22nd. It's to do our Courage Awards. So we encourage anybody that's interested in attending that. It's called Hootenanny this year. So it's a celebration. It's going to be at the SPSCC Lacey campus where our offices are. It's going to be outdoors. We'll have a band. We'll have a barbecue. And we're going to present some Courage Awards for businesses who took during COVID, really showed courage to help support our community.
We're still looking for a Tenino City Council volunteer for the dunk tank. We got, the mayor, he's got to work at the fire department. So, but we have the mayor of Olympia and we have all kinds of people from the community. So
Rachel will do it.
yeah, want to step up?
Normally I would, but I've got to work.
Do you say Rachel or Jason?
I said Rachel.
And John?
Well, Cutter's the youngest. Cutter's the youngest.
It would be over Cutter's head.
Yeah, I would do it, but the times are just too close for me because of work right afterwards. And I've got to work tonight.
Councilmember O'Callahan and the mayor, they're claiming work as an excuse. Anyways, it is going to be a fun event. Do encourage anyone who wants to come on up. We are going to have Tenino's own Whitewood cider there, as well as Top Rung Brewery. So,
All right. We have no report from the VCV Fire District 12.
You pretty much got the report that I would have touched on.
Okay.
We did hire a temporary. We've got one new temp. It'll last
Okay.
through, I believe, September.
Okay. Library. I believe I saw Linda McKinney.
Yes, you did. Let me get my picture
Hi,
up
Linda.
there. Hi. So it looks like my network is, oh, there it goes. If my picture disappears, it's because my network connection is slow tonight, apparently. Anyway, nothing big happening at the library other than we are open for people to come in and do their own browsing and to use the computers. So we invite everybody to come on in and see the newly remodeled building. And also a reminder that summer reading is not just for kids, it's for anybody who is born and anybody who is still alive. So feel free to come on in and we'll get you started, or you can just go to our website, trl.org, and sign up there as well. Get a free book just for getting started. So yeah, things are ticking along pretty well, and it's great to see some of our regular people back live and in the building.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda. Museum.
No report. Well, I can tell you've probably already seen on Facebook that we are doing the Oregon Trail Day stuff again, Pioneer Village. So as you're strolling along, you'll see that as well. And it's been very popular over the years. We've gotten thousands of people that actually come through. It's a lot of hands-on stuff for kids, so bring them all down.
Awesome.
Come on up and see me. I'm going to be working. I'm going to be helping out.
Oh, are you? That's great.
Yep.
Tenino Community Service Center. I don't believe I saw Jody, so we'll keep moving. Arch
Jody's trying to
Commission.
get online, so Mayor Jody's trying to get online. He's having a hard time finding the link. So
Okay,
Arts
if she gets on.
I think we're gonna put the Arts Commission on hold until September and do a really hard push. Seems like everybody's on vacation this summer. So
Okay. Civil Service Commission, no report. Facade Improvement Grant Review Committee.
We have 4 or 5 applications have been turned in. And they cannot be approved. So hopefully the outside of the feed store and Whitewood Cedar is going to be updated and painted.
That's great.
And the Kodiak room has cleaned, pressure washed all of the building and is going to do some other things too, I guess. So I'm trying to think and then of course Chris and his building. So we've got 4 applications that have been approved.
That's great. Thank you. Finance Committee, Planning Commission. They are not having a meeting for another month. Chief of Police. That's you, Chief Hutchings.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize for being late. It took me quite some time to find the link this evening earlier as well.
We're trying to fix that.
Thank you. But I got in. This Saturday is a walk for Rowan, and we'll have a presence there. And Oregon Trail Days is all a go. Everything's looking very good from our perspective. And the concert, everything's going real well with the concert. Nick has got everything in place. It seems everything, which is very comforting. Talk with
thank you, George and Chief Hutchings, for helping the Recitic Foundation stay on track. I mean, you guys have been working very closely with Nick to try and get them squared away to make sure that fundraiser can occur. So thank you both.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
I met with Sheriff Sanaza and in contact with Chief Brockmuller in Winlock, and they've agreed to. Well, I'm still in conversation with Winlock, but Thurston County Sheriff has agreed. They have an influx anytime the sheriff deputies can run by through the town. They're going to all through Oregon Trail Days. If they want to stop and get out and have something to eat, food fair, whatever, that's fine. Food fair, not food fight. But they're going to be coming around as a show of presence, which will really help. There's, as I mentioned last time, the last meeting, there's new legislation taking effect on the Sunday July 25th, where the legislation is changing policing as we know it regarding use of force, pursuits, the tools that we cannot use, call response, and a variety of other things. So I'm going through, along with John Steins, quite a few draft policies via Lexipol, TCSO looking at their policies, and OPD's policies, etc. And tomorrow for 3 hours, we're going to have Lewis County Prosecuting Attorney Jonathan Myers, who's also one of our reserve officers, give us an update, a legal update, and training all these policies and the changes on the ledges from the last session. As I also reported last time, that the Thurston County, all the chiefs in Thurston County and the sheriff, along with the prosecuting attorney and our staff, and the various city attorneys, we conferred, and we're expecting next week to have a one-page, maybe it might be one-page press release going out to the public on the changes that we will all be instituting at the same time, and our call response, what the public can expect when they call 911 and expect police, but they get a medic, or they expect both and they get one, or they get none. And those are all still those details are being hammered out right now, but it's going to change things drastically regarding the language and such, and response, call response. OPD has met with OFD, and so I today, as a council member, O'Callahan stated, I met with Chief Shaffron from the South Thurston Fire District, and we talked about strategizing and working with their crew as well, and coming to the same conclusion, so we know what we're doing and what our expectations, meeting our expectations or managing our expectations. And the fire district is they already have a one-sheet page put out, but I have that, but I have not read it yet. And then finally, looking at our budget, we're more than halfway through July, and we are 42% spent. So we're looking real good budget-wise with the police department. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to Director of Public Works. I do not believe Troy is with us. They're busy with pumps, busy with lawns, busy with parks, busy with roads. We hit a snag with the septic receiving process when there was a change in staff with the Department of Ecology. A few weeks ago, a new DOE staffer came out with something into our plan saying that we needed to redo our SEPA because we didn't account for the truck traffic we'd be anticipating. That was a brief snag, and that person was not really in tune with what we were doing or the way that the wastewater treatment plants work. So we've been reassigned, and the new staffer is saying that we are online. We just need to redirect one aspect of the effluent flow, which is being worked on. And Troy says he anticipates bringing on haulers sometime next week. When that happens, I'll let you know, because it'll be an exciting moment. We are city planner, building official, no report. City attorney, no report. Clerk treasurer gave her report. My report, I have been knee deep dealing with this bond issue and working with Aslan and Scott and Nancy and Becca and trying to figure out how that all works. Had a meeting with the new superintendent yesterday, and great meeting. I think the school did a great job with who they hired. I think it was a great pick, and he'll be good for the city of Tenino. And I imagine we'll be introducing the rest of you to him sometime soon. Be that.
There's no report. They're done for July, and then I don't think they're meeting in August either.
Okay. Solid Waste Advisory Board.
Yeah, so we had a meeting the first week of this month, and they went over the new systems that the Waste and Recovery Center has, and it makes it easier for them to check who's coming in and who's coming out. And then we were one of the final cities that was holding up the solid waste management plan to be passed.
Oh, we're done with that tonight.
Exactly. So now that's all good, and that's all I have to update.
Okay, steady.
Our next study meeting is this Friday. It's going to be at the Senior Center of Rainier, 8 a.m. to 9:30. We'll also have a Zoom option.
Okay. Tenino School Board,
No report.
TRPC.
Yeah, we did our first week of our retreat, and we're just redefining what our goals are for Thurston Regional Planning Committee, and then our next meeting's in person the end of July. So that'll be exciting.
Okay. TPB.
Tomorrow morning.
Thank you, sir. You've received a report from Waste and Wastewater. That brings us to public comment period number 2. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment, please step forward. You'll be given 3 minutes. State your name and address. Hearing none. Moving forward, that brings us to announcements.
I have an announcement. Starting Friday, the 16th, Friday and Saturday, the Lions Club garage sale is on, and we have an overabundance of things. So anybody that you know that likes garage sales, it's that they can't lose on this one, believe me. So Friday and Saturday, 9 to 4 at the elementary school.
There's even a giant George Sharp-sized teddy bear.
Yes, there is.
Yes. Any other announcements?
Yes, I want to thank first the chief and then Wayne, because during the last heat spell that we had of over 100 degrees, we weren't sure where the cooling stations were. Chief went down to the fire department, talked to the mayor talked to me, I went down there, and the phone tree started. Within a half an hour, we had the whole thing covered so that anybody that needed to use the fire department as a cooling station could. So I want to thank everybody that was involved, and I'll be
Yeah,
thanking.
that was a good example of how we can all work together very well. So yeah, thank you.
It came out extremely well. The last little bit was for Monday, but it all came together. On the other side, nobody actually used it, so that was a good thing.
And that was the report from every single other city.
Yep.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and when we had our mayor's meeting, we talked about that. We were like, did anybody actually go to your cooling centers? And I think there was somebody in Tumwater. They had one person, if I recall correctly, and it was like this person that's always hanging around at City Hall. Anyway.
I just wanted to thank everybody that was involved in making that happen. So thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you, Counselor.
Good job. Any other announcements?
The food bank has one.
Jody, you're here.
I am. So the Tenino Community Service Center is teaming up with the health department for vaccination clinics clear into September, it looks like, hopefully. We will have another one at the Quarry House on Monday, 4 to 7. They will be attending Saturday in the park as a vendor or whatever for Oregon Trail Days as well. And they bring in their ambulance and their whole unit. Man, I want one of those bad. It has this really super cool awning that just you flick a button and it comes all out. I don't know. It's a new toy. I was just
Awesome.
impressed. That's all. They are trying to see to it that that they are giving out Pfizer so that the kids can get vaccinated. This is just a public service announcement. This is not a get your shot or no get your shot. That I'm not even getting into this. We are just there as a public service to see to it that those that may not be able to have gotten their shots up until today to get them. So that's where we sit. And we gave out 12 of them in Bucota last week, and we gave out 25 at Farmers Market on Saturday.
Excellent.
So we are getting the folks that are on the fringes of having difficulty with transportation and or other health issues, they're actually going directly to that person's car if they need to.
All right. Thank you, Tenino Community Service Center and Jody. Any further announcements? All right, I'll say it. First responders potluck barbecue.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to adjournment.
Wait,
Thank you, everyone.
One more
Nope.
thing.
Too late.
If you guys listen to KGY, you'll start hearing the ads for music in the park and all that kind of the Oregon Trail Days and all that kind of stuff. It's actually a pretty good commercial. So keep an eye out for it.
Olympia Symphony Orchestra will be in the Quarry Pool August 8th. It's going to be cool. And then the Young at Heart Theater's presentation of Frog and Toad starts Thursday. Try to go down and catch it while it's in the pool. It's gonna be pretty neat. I went down and checked out their stage, and they did a really good job down there. It's gonna be pretty cool. Take your kids, take your wives, take your kids, take everybody. All right, thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
On the motion, we are adjourned.